Hi, welcome to the session of Introduction to Programming. Programming is a very important aspect, and in this particular session, I will be discussing with you what exactly do you understand by programming and also some of the terms that is associated with programming. In this session, I will first start discussing what do you exactly understand by a program and what is its difference with software. Then we'll move to what you understand by a software project and its life cycle. Next, we'll move to what exactly is the programming. Then we'll move into certain methodologies that is associated with programming. And lastly, we'll be discussing certain standards and best practices that we should follow while programming. Well, let's start with what do you understand by a program? A program is nothing but a collection, or you can say a series of steps which actually helps you to complete a specified task. Let us take an example. If you want to check whether numbers is odd or even, then you see we'll have to follow a certain series of steps. Means you have to get a number, yes. Then what is the logic that is associated with it? It's like if a number is even, so it should be divisible by 0. That is the basic logic that you have, right? And the task is nothing but to find whether a number is odd or even. Similarly, we have sum of n numbers, checking whether a number is prime or not. So program is a mere, series of collection of steps which help you to complete or specify for a particular task. What is software? Software is a broad term that identifies the program, the data that is associated with it, and other related files like user manual, installation guide, etc. Right? For example, the Microsoft Office, the antivirus that you're using, the operating system like Windows, Linux, Mac that you're using. Right? So what exactly is the difference in program? Program, as I say, is a small entity, but the software we talk as a big picture. Yes, where we have a lot of collection of programs, right? You have a lot of data. We have user manuals, the installation guide. Program, it can be written by by a single person, but in a software you actually require a team to do it. Yes, the complexity of the program is very simple, but in a software the complexity is very high. Yes, so that's the difference between a program and a software. Even though the term is being used interchangeably, but there is a difference between a program and a software, and you should always remember. Now, what is this different types of software? Application software. Yes, I think you better know what application, because see, you have been involved in say booking some tickets in online, for movies and all these things, right? These are nothing but certain kind of applications. Or also in a mobile you have certain apps. It's nothing but applications. So these are nothing but which uses certain computer system to perform specific function or provide entertainment function beyond the basic operation of the computer itself. So entertainment, functions that you could understand this, right? Then next, what do you understand by a system software? Actually, this which interact with nothing but the hardware of a computer, and it provides you the base on which the application actually run, right? You cannot imagine of booking a ticket from a computer if you do not have an operating system in it. Yes, so that operating system is nothing but a system software. Lastly, the malicious software, this is also called as malware, right? These are the certain software which actually designed in order to harm your system. right? So three different types: application, system, and malicious. Next, we move to software project. What is a software project? It is nothing but undertaking to create a software application by writing programs. Easily as it is a team effort, and you will later understand when you move in study software engineering and all these things. A lot of management, management aspect, financial aspect, all these things are always associated with in a software. And each of the members which will be associated in developing a software or in this particular software project will have a defined role, right? You may have, like a developers, project manager, team leader, module leader, delivery managers, right? So these are the certain defined roles that will be having in a software project. Few other free software projects you can go online and check. These are nothing but Apache Foundation, open source script, and open hub. Software project lifecycle. So the stages are there. First, requirement. Next, design, code and test, deploy, and maintain. I will not go into details of this, but you just understand, in order to kickstart a project, right? After there is a agreement between the client and the one who will be developing the software, right? So you have certain kind of requirement analysis, means what exactly the requirement of the particular client, yes, or what exactly the requirement of this particular project, right? So certain phases like requirement gathering and a lot of things are there. Once the requirement has been done, right, you'll go into next stage, which is called as a design, right? How the architecture will look like, right? What kind of technology we'll be using, all these things will come under this design phase. Once the design is been completed, then actually start what is coding, which is nothing but actually we are programming, right? Yes. And then with this is associated with testing, because you have to test whether whatever the you know uh, things, expected output that is coming or not, we need to test that, right? Yes. Then comes is the deployments. Is actually the thing is ready, right? And you are working in a working environment. This then you move into where actually you'll be deployed in a exact environment where it will be running. And lastly, it comes with the maintenance. So you will be maintaining this particular software. It's not like that you will be developing a software so you will be associated with maintaining it. It may be go to some different uh, vendors also for if suppose you develop this particular software, but some another X may come and maintain particular software. But this is typically it's the life cycle of software project. So when I say in this particular phase, code and test, this is one of the important aspect. And typically, if you are moving into an IT industries in the as a fresher, you will be mostly involved in this particular coding, testing, and maybe associated with some kind of support and maintenance, right? Even if you are in a support or maintenance or code and testing, one of the aspect that you have to be very good at, that is what is called as programming. Yes, that is one of the key aspect, right? So before going to programming, you have seen that is very important aspect in the previous slide, the programming itself, right? So what are the building blocks? As I want to be a good programmer, you start writing a program, right? Before that, what could be the foundations? Right? One is the mathematical, strong mathematical foundation you should have, right? So this is very very important. You should brush all your elementary level, K2 level, whatever you have the mathematical knowledge, you should brush it up, and you should be very very good in this particular thing. Say for example, as I was saying, whether you want to check whether a number is prime or not, mathematical definition, yes, it's a number which is divisible by 1 or the number itself. Or you can say a number which is not divisible by any number between 1 to the number itself is nothing but a prime number, right? So that comes from your mathematical background. Yes. Then come the logic, the logical thinking, very very important, right? I give an example. I will give you an example, something like that. uh, John mother has three sons, right? The name of these two sons is one George, another is Michael. So what is the name of the third son, right? It's very simple. It's John itself, because we are talking about John mother, and the rest of the two son name we have already mentioned, right? So that's what the logical thinking comes. It is not built in a day. Please remember that you required a lot of patience and hard working on that. But logical thinking is very very important. Next come critical thinking. Yes, the critical thinking is important because once you define as a logic, also you have to understand whether that particular logic is fair enough or not. Today's world is very very competitive, right? We want to get a solution, quick solution, and a very fast solution, right? So critical thinking actually is very helpful, right? It is also not built in a day. It comes on your practice. And lastly, the algorithm. Yes, it typically happens that if I say write a program to check whether the number is odd or even, you simply jump into one particular programming language. No, try to understand the logic behind this, right? Then try to map into an algorithm. Yes, you can look at my videos which talks about algorithm itself, right? Then lastly is a programming language through which you will be writing the program, and a certain methodologies that is associated with it. So what is a programming? It is a process of taking an algorithm based on the problem and encoding it into the executable computer program, right? So let's take that problem. What is the problem? Check whether a number is odd or even, right? Now understand what the logic behind this, then process of making an algorithm into it. Yes, then use a programming language and write a program, right, which will be executed by the computer, right? That what exactly is programming means. So it involves activities like analysis. You have to analyze, right? Understanding the problem, right? What the problem is saying, right? Logic formulation, that what I was talking about. Generating and verification of the algorithm. Yes, you have to generate an algorithm. You have to verify whether the algorithm is fair enough or not. Yes, and implementing. Lastly, as I was saying, implementing using a programming language, right? So what is a programming language? Next comes into question. So programming language is nothing but a formal computer language or constructed language designed to communicate instruction to the computer, right? You can Google and you can find the history behind how programming actually languages has started. It started from assembly from machine language, which the computer actually understand. Then it comes to the assembly language, then high level language. So typically when today we talk about programming language, we are actually talking about nothing some of the high level language like C, C++, Java, Fortran, COBOL, etc. Yes. Then comes the methodologies. More lot of methodologies are there, but I just taken few of that. One is a procedural, object oriented, service oriented, event driven, parallel, and many more. Yes. So in this discussion, as we are introducing programming, we'll be discussing only two aspects of the methodologies, that is the procedural and object oriented. Procedural programming is nothing but is breakdown a programming task into collection of variable, data structure, and subroutines. Right here, actually, we are talking about nothing but you are designing, breaking into some kind of subroutines. We are having data structure. Associated data structure means is nothing but how exactly data has been collected and all. Yes, how it has been organized. Sorry, collected and organized. Right. Then you have the certain variables associated with which you will understand when you are actually learning a programming language. Hmm. So basically, C programming is nothing but a procedural programming language, right? Object oriented, here object oriented, you're breaking the programming into certain kind of objects, right? And how an object going to behave, that's which convert into some kind of methods and data, right? Using certain kind of interfaces. It will be difficult for you as a starter to understand that, but understand this is very simple, that in procedural there is a relation between, data and the subroutine or function that we are talking about. But in object oriented, there is not no relation between data and programming aspects, right? And here the object oriented, we are talking everything in terms of an object, right? And its behavior with C++ programming, Java, and all these things are nothing but the object oriented programming language. Now we move to certain standard and best practices. Few of the things which you should keep in mind from day one. Whatever you write, it should be very very clear. Yes, it should be consistent, and there should be proper indentation in it. The next slides I talk one example, so it will be easy for you to understand. Easily readable. Yes, it is easy to understand, clear, and easy to read, right? Enough documentation and comments, that is very very important. You see, you are a very good programmer, have done, if you look back to your program, if there is no kind of easily not clear, no proper indentation, and there is no documentation or no comments, it will again take you a hell of a time to understand what exactly you have been doing, right? So this documentation and comments are very very important, right? Typically what happens when you are in an institute, when you're going through your engineering courses, you feel that you don't have to do certainly write a program, no documentation and comment. Please don't do that. Make a habit of putting the comments and all, because this will actually help you in order to follow the best practices. When later when you join an IT industry, it will be nothing but very very easy for you. Note, person who writes or any other person can read, understand the code even after 1 or 2 years later. That is very very important. And in the IT industry, you'll be not a person which will be involved in a single project, will be moved from project to project, right? So you will try to you given you the project where somebody has done half of a coding, and then again you have to understand the coding. If that particular person doesn't follow all these things, right, again it will be a very tough for you to understand that particular program itself. Yes, so standards and best practice is very well. Standards, a lot of companies follow their own standards, so it's uh, quite difficult, but some kind of best practices that I was talking about right now, you should follow from the day one, right? If you look at this particular example, I think it will be very very clear. It's right, this is the basic simple C program, displaying hello world, file name, right? Hello world. Description. This program displays the hello world. Who is the author, right? Yes. What is the date on which it's been written, right? Has include stdio.h. Even here also I have not given a one. You can give a comment why you're using an stdio.h header file, right? What does the function main do, right? What are the parameters? Yes, like int r, character argv, right? Then you say print hello world. What it will going to do? It will print hello world in the program, right? A simple way of see, here you are writing comments, you are documenting in who has written this program at what particular date. Even you can mention in which particular platform you have compiled it, in which particular platform you have executed the program. A lot of things. I just nutshell, I have just given you the idea, right? And you can see the indentation also, right? So it's very easily readable, you can understand. Yes, right? Having said that, programming is a very important aspect, and if you really want to be moved into an IT industry, it is one of the very important key aspect. You should be very good in programming. Yes, understand what exactly the programming is. As I was telling you, have the foundation, strong logical thinking, critical thinking, sorry, algorithm. Yes, then understand what are the different programming languages it have, what are the methodologies that is associated with it, right? Yes, then I think you will come up into a very good programmer itself. Yes. Thank you and keep watching my video and also visit my website www.gearup4.com. Thank you.